by the dawn's early light. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stars and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the oh, beautiful, for heroes prove a liberating strife. Who more than self their country love and mercy born in life. America, sweet America, God grant thy glorified till all success be noblest, and every day divine. You know what I'm saying? Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, forever waves of day, for purple mountains, majesty, above the fruited plains. See, I'm talking about America, sweet America. God, he done shed his grace on the yeah, he crowned thy good. So with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, can somebody help me sing? America, America, she that ran his face on me, she the crown now good, the crown from sea to shining sea, shine your light, shining sea. God bless y'all.
Another round of applause to the supremely talented Ellis Hall, everybody. you might recognize. He was the lead vocalist for the California Raisins commercial. Remember that commercial, everyone, right? Also a talented multi-instrumentalist who made frequent appearances with Stevie Wonder, James Taylor, Ray Charles, Patti LaBelle, Toby Keith, George Benson, other musical icons. Another round of applause. Ellis Hall, everybody. Supremely talented Ellis Hall. Thank you, my friend. All right. Everybody in the back here and everything okay? Yeah, over here? Yeah? I can't hear you, though. Let me hear you. There you go. All right, our first speaker tonight is the CEO and director of the LA Zoo and Botanical Gardens, also active with other animal conservation organizations, especially the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, where she serves as the chair of the board of directors. An honor to present here, Denise Verrett. Denise.
Thank you, Danny, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Los Angeles Zoo on this momentous occasion to honor and celebrate Betty White. When you think of words that would describe Betty White, here are some that come to mind. Witty, charming, iconic, trailblazing, compassionate, timeless, and beloved. It is absolutely a privilege to be here today as we celebrate this truly remarkable moment, commemorating the legendary Betty White with her very own commemorative Forever U.S. postage stamp. Betty was more than an actress and comedian. She was a trailblazer, a pioneer, and above all, a person who knew no bounds when it came to her heart and her giving, especially when it came to animals. Her passion and commitment to wildlife and conservation was unwavering, and the Los Angeles Zoo was the recipient of her love for nearly 50 years. But she was not just a passive supporter. She was a champion for the zoo's mission of saving wildlife, enriching our communities, and creating connections to nature, and an appreciation for all creatures, great and small. Whether through her tireless philanthropic support, as a member of the city's zoo commissioner, a member of the Glaza Board of Trustees, and an honorary member of the Los Angeles Zoo's Association of Animal Keepers, she left an indelible mark that continues to inspire all generations. Today, as we unveil this stamp, we are not just celebrating Betty's incredible career, but her compassionate spirit as well. So let us honor her legacy by continuing her spirit of kindness, generosity, and a deep love and appreciation for animals and the impact that they have on all of us. Thank you so very much for being here today.
All right, keep the applause going. Again, Denise Verrett, thank you so much. Appreciate you and everything your team is doing for the zoo. Truly appreciate that. Now also, we're very lucky. We have some very special guests of honor here in the audience. So I want to acknowledge them, of course. So when I call off your name, you could stand up, wave to your adoring crowd, and I'll let them know you're here. So first, the Los Angeles Deputy Mayor of Neighborhood Services, Jacqueline Hamilton. Jacqueline, there you go. Also, the Glaza President, of course, Dawn Peterson Amend. Dawn, ¿dónde está? There you are. Thank you, Dawn, right over there. And now the Glaza Board of Trustees, Esther Chow. Esther, stand up. Where will you be? There you are. Also, Madeline Taft. Madeline, where's Madeline? Madeline, right there, waving right there. Madeline. And Phyllis Kupferstein. Phyllis, there you are, right over there. It really means a lot that you guys are here today. Thank you so much. Round of applause for all of them right now, everybody, please. Thank you. All right. I think it's time to get to the good stuff. What do you think, folks? Are you ready for this? In the back, are you ready for this? Over here, are you guys ready for this? I know the birds are ready for this. They've been yelling all day. You noticed that, right? We are at the LA Zoo, of course. All right, so here we go. The official unveiling and dedication of the Betty White stamp. To do the honors, I'm pleased to present our dedicating official, the chairwoman of the Postal Service's Board of Governors, also chairs the board's election mail committee and serves on the operations and audit and finance committees. Prior to joining the board, she was also the founding CEO of the National Vote at Home Institute, also serves on multiple advisory boards, and is the co-author of the book, When Women Vote. As a leading expert on election and administration and policy, her career is focused on strengthening democratic institutions and improving the voting experience for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Amber McReynolds. Amber.
Well, good morning, and thank you all for joining us today. It is an honor to be here representing the United States Postal Service on the first day that we issue the Betty White's Forever stamps. I cannot think of a more fitting location to host today's event than the Los Angeles Zoo, a place that Betty White helped to lead, serve, and support for more than 5 decades. This zoo, its inhabitants, and this community meant so much to Betty White, just as she meant so much to all of us. Betty White was an American treasure. She was born in my home state of Illinois, but moved to LA as an infant. As an only child, she developed her lifetime passion for animals while playing with her childhood cats and dogs. But she soon caught the acting bug and was already an experienced television and radio actor when the U.S. entered World War II. Like so many of our greatest generation, Betty paused her career to serve her country. She spent those years driving a PX truck as part of the American Women's Voluntary Service. In the 1940s and 50s and 60s, Americans welcomed Betty into their homes through a number of variety shows and comedies. She became a staple, hosting the annual Tournament of Roses and Macy's Thanksgiving Day parades. Throughout her career, Betty White stole the show on some of America's most iconic programs, like the Mary Tyler Moore Show, the Carol Burnett Show, and of course, the Golden Girls. As a girl, I remember the Golden Girls being on TV when I visited both my grandmothers. It was a show that crossed generational boundaries with humor that appealed to both young and old. It also broke stereotypes, showing a group of funny, vivacious women living their best lives and being there for one another. Their always funny, often meaningful conversations around the kitchen table was reminiscent of the early women's movements, when women would gather around their own kitchen tables and discuss ways to achieve equality in their own homes and workplaces. But Betty White's influence goes beyond her storied acting career. Her love for animals led her to support local shelters, advocate for guide dogs, and serve on the board here at the LA Zoo. As an American institution in its own right, the Postal Service is honored to remember and recognize Betty White through this forever stamp. Like Betty White, the Postal Service has a legacy of independence and patriotism, employing nearly 73,000 military veterans. Like Betty White, the Postal Service is trailblazing. Women served as postmasters more than a century before they could vote. And roughly, today, 55% of all postmasters are women across the country. And like Betty White, the Postal Service has never been shy about sharing our age. The Postal Service is actually older than the nation itself, founded in July 1775, and this year celebrating 250 years. It is these common bonds as Americans that the Postal Service seeks to honor through our Forever Stamp program, highlighting subjects that have made extraordinary and enduring contributions to American life, history, and culture. Betty White did that in her life and her legacy and continues that today. Now at this time, I'd like to invite our participants to the stage for the official dedication of the Betty White Forever Stamp.
stand.
This new Forever stamp features a spiritly portrait of Betty White with a bubbly background reflecting her sparkling personality. I'd like to thank Greg Breeding for designing this stamp with original art by Dale Stefanos, who you'll hear from in a minute. With this stamp, we can now honor and remember the beloved First Lady of television and the enduring mark she has left on American culture. Thank you all for joining us today for this wonderful event honoring this incredible icon.
All right, another round of applause for Amber McReynolds, everybody. Please let her hear it. And how about that stamp? Round of applause for our amazing Betty. How about that? Come on, let her hear it, man. Let's go. Hey, listen, we got more for you here. We're not done. We got more and more coming up. We want to find out more about the artist, more about the stamp itself, so hang on a second. But first, right now, another special treat for you. We want to welcome back to the stage, because those talents are amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause. Ellis Hall back to the stage. Ellis, come on up. Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes. Like to do this song especially for the most amazing Miss Betty. I got to meet her a couple of times. What an amazing, amazing, amazing lady. Shoo, shoo, shoo. When you're down and trouble, you need some love and care, and nothing is going right. Close your little eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there, all right, to brighten up even your darkest night. Of course, says you just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Gotta sing for Miss Betty, I say, winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. I said I'll be there. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Heart is true, you're having a confidant. I said, if you threw a party in my everyone you do, you might see the biggest gift would be from me. And I would say thank you for being bless you, Miss Betty. Thank y'all.
There you go. Big round of applause. Ellis Hall, everybody. Ellis Hall. Let them hear it. Keep it going. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Ellis. All right, we have some great speakers coming up here to tell you more about the stamp, kind of a little background on it, kind of how it got to be here. So our next distinguished speaker, not only a board member of the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association, he also served together with Betty as co-chair of the organization. Put your hands together for Richard Lichtenstein. Richard, come on up.
Good morning. As you heard, I had the distinct pleasure of working with Betty as co-chair of GLAZA, the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association. During our time together, I learned two main things about Betty. First, she loved animals. Betty did not have children. She once said in an interview, "I love children. The only problem with children is that they grow up to be people. And I just like animals better than I like people." Animals were her kids, and she loved them all, any shape, size, and kind. It was nothing more she enjoyed better than doing a photo shoot with her new favorite animal here at the LA Zoo. I distinctly remember one particular one involving a huge python. She had a great time nuzzling and posing with it, even though she whispered to me, "He's really not my kind." Her involvement with the LA Zoo, as you heard, began in 1966 when the facility opened and spanned more than 5 decades. She joined the GLAZA board in 1974, served 2 terms on the Board of Zoo Commissioners, and in 2007 was named the city's official ambassador of animals for her lifelong work with animal welfare. All across this zoo, there are testaments to Betty's devotion to animals. There are so many exhibits and places that she made possible through her sheer will. From contributions to the chimpanzee exhibit in the Campo Gorilla Reserve, to her passionate support of elephants of Asia, she lent her voice as a donor, author, spokeswoman, and an advocate. She also wrote a book called Betty and Friends, My Life at the Zoo, with the proceeds benefiting GLAZA. Betty said that her main goal in writing the book was to illuminate the role that zoos play as centers of conservation and education. While Betty would be somewhat disappointed to learn that the City of LA and GLAZA are parting company, her legacy here lives on thanks to the private foundation she established before her passing just shy of her 100th birthday. Working with GLAZA, the foundation has provided generous funding to various programs, including Betty White's Zoo Pals, which provides K-5 students and their teachers with free programming and supplies. The other thing I learned about Betty, she was just as funny off camera as she was when she was performing for the camera. Like many of you, she kept me laughing the entire time I worked with her, many times with jokes that I can't possibly repeat today. But one quick story. It occurred at a GLAZA board meeting. Betty had missed a few of the meetings in a row due to her rigorous TV shooting schedule. We sat down together at the head of the table, and I called the meeting to order. I turned to Betty and asked her, "Betty, before we dive into the formal agenda, is there anything you want to share with the board?" She paused, looked around the room at all of the board members, put her hand on my arm, looked into my eyes, and said, "You were great in bed last night." Okay, that was Betty White. Who didn't love Betty White? Her smile, her sense of humor, her basic decency. Our country, our city, and yes, even our LA Zoo will be much better if more people followed her example. Betty White put her stamp on everyone and anyone she came in contact with. Betty White, forever our golden girl. Thank you very much.
Round of applause again, everybody. Richard Lichtenstein right there. And for Betty. I mean, come on. Yeah. All right, our final speaker, we must hear from this person. We have to hear. This person created the artwork for the Betty White stamp, what you're seeing up here. His work has been featured in countless publications, including Rolling Stone, Time Magazine, The Wall Street Journal. Also, his work has been part of the permanent collection of the Norman Rockwell Museum and other notable museums around the world. Round of applause. Our final speaker here, the award-winning illustrator, Dale Estefanos. Dale, come on up.
Thank you. That was an amazing story. I'm going to try to get this in before the laughing kookaburra heckles me off. We all love Betty White. I always loved Betty White. I had no idea I'd end up having a lifetime relationship with her after making this stamp. But I'm pretty proud of it. A huge thank you to Amber McReynolds for having me and my wife Maria here. We've been together since we were teenagers, and we've seen a lot of summits together, and this is definitely one of the higher ones, so thank you. And a huge thank you to Greg Breeding, my art director on this project, for choosing to work with me. When Greg called to ask if I was available to illustrate a stamp of the great Betty White, I cut him off before he was done and just yelled yes. And almost immediately, my life sort of flashed before my eyes. Not that I thought I was about to join Betty. I grew up in the 70s in a seaside New England town. We had the shag carpet, the bell-bottoms, the hair, and like most families in that time, our family would gather around and watch our favorite TV shows. I'd sprawl out on the floor and spend hours drawing those characters from the TV with my magic markers, ruining countless rugs and pieces of furniture in the process. Of course, the Mary Tyler Moore Show was must-see TV, and Betty White's character, Sue Ann Nivens, felt strangely familiar to me. She had those dancing blue eyes and the same brand of sharp humor and bristling intelligence as my mother and my grandmother, whose name also happened to be Betty. And like them, as we just heard, Betty White was more than capable of leaving an entire room with their mouths open, thinking, did she really just say that? So when I was working on the stamp, surrounding myself with Betty White videos and pictures, I felt like I was working on a portrait of a family member. Now, I know I'm finished with a portrait when that face comes alive and looks back at me. So when those twinkly blue eyes suddenly sparkled, I knew it was time to send my version of Betty out into the world, and I wished her the best. And I have to say, I was not prepared for the response. The news went viral, it was everywhere, and it was unusually universally positive. My favorite headline I saw was from the Associated Press. It said, the USPS has figured out a way to unite a bitterly divided nation. It was wonderful, but the timing was bittersweet. My mother was nearing the end of a long and interesting life. I'm grateful that I was able to show her the news of the stamp and the overwhelmingly positive reaction before she left us just a few days later. So today, when I look at the Betty White stamp, I see my mother's lively blue eyes, and I can hear her laughter, and it makes me smile. There's another thing that makes me smile when I look at the stamp, and I don't even know if it's a secret anymore, but it started as a secret, but it's gotten out. But I'll get to that in a minute. What's not a secret, of course, is that Betty White was a passionate animal rights activist. When we initially discussed the stamp, it was presented how important it would be to include this aspect of her personality. This presented a problem. Would I be painting her with an animal? If so, what kind of animal? A lemur? A snake? An elephant? A cat? A dog? What color cat? What color dog? Why didn't you do a yellow cat? Why not a black dog? It felt like there were just too many unknowns and possible distractions. And since stamps are just so unlike that, it's just stamp-sized, I wanted Betty's huge personality to take center stage. So I always start a project the same way. I'm given a problem to solve, and I make tons of little drawings in my sketchbook, and they're not pretty drawings, they're just visual notes to my future self. One morning at breakfast, while I was trying to solve the challenge of visually describing Betty's love for animals, I was absent-mindedly drawing instead of eating my eggs. Unlike the childhood version of me, I was drawing in a book on the table and not directly on the table. My wife sat across the table from me, and Maria is a big-time TV news anchor in Boston, and she had the whole anchor thing going on. She had the high heels, and she had an animal print dress and some flashy earrings, and I kind of looked at her earrings, and then I looked back down at my sketchbook, and I saw a paw print that I had drawn looking out at me from the mess I'd made. And I had a bit of a eureka moment. I just thought, what if I just give Betty an earring that's in the shape of a paw print? Sometimes the simplest solutions only come after you bang your head against the wall for weeks or months. So I cleaned up the sketch with the earring and sent it off, and not long after we got the green light with the art, and I was very relieved. And I'll wrap it up with this. And I think this is important. We were talking about this a little earlier. I've always loved postage stamps. I've dreamed of creating the art for a stamp for years. Stamps are these beautiful little chauffeurs that escort our love letters, sympathy cards, birthday wishes, and yes, utility bills out into the world to their destination. I even had one friend tell me that they'll enjoy paying the water bill now because it will give them the chance to use the Betty White stamp. This stamp is special because, let's face it, everybody loves Betty White. The amount of attention I've received because my name is attached to this project has been truly humbling and mind-blowing. I've been blessed with a long career, as you mentioned, and worked for almost every major publication in the country, but this is special. At 60 years old, I was asked to be part of a team that created something that feels like an overnight sensation after being alive for 90 years. So thanks to this blue-eyed, smart, feisty lady we all loved, Betty White. I'm Dale Stefanos, the artist behind the Betty White stamp, and Ellis Hall said it much better, and it sounded better, but thank you for being a friend.
All right, and thank you, Dale Stefanos, right there. Round of applause. Come on, that's your artist, everybody. Let's go. And a smart husband mentioned his wife as his inspiration. Yeah. Way to go. Yeah, a couple of, yeah, she's keeping track. Yeah, she's got a little counting going. Oh, it's 5, 6. Oh, good. Okay. He'll get dinner tonight. All right. Hey, listen, we have one more speaker I want you to put a big round of applause for. It's the deputy, Los Angeles Deputy Mayor of Neighborhood Services. A round of applause for Jacqueline Hamilton. Jacqueline.
Thank you very much. I will be extremely brief. The mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, wishes that she could have been here to join us, but sends her heartfelt gratitude to the United States Postal Service for this wonderful honor and for deciding to bring the unveiling of this stamp here to the zoo. And on that occasion, I'd like to present a certificate of recognition to the United States Postal Service, and I'd also like to present another one to the a representative of the Betty White estate, if they're here, because we're really grateful for the ongoing support that the Betty White estate provides to support zoo programs and the youth of Los Angeles who benefit from having a robust zoo program. So I'm gonna... So thank you very much. And what a wonderful speech she gave. I learned so much about Betty White and the Postal Service. Thank you very much. And I don't know if we have a representative of the Betty White estate. Ah, wonderful. Wait, one over here. Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Do I take this? Yes, you do. You do. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Greater LA Zoo Association for all that they've done, including helping to connect Betty White to the zoo, and we look forward to an ongoing partnership and really robust support for all of the animals, the children, the residents of Los Angeles. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Deputy Jacqueline Hamilton, everybody. Round of applause. Right us up here. Let's go. All right, we're starting to wind down, but first, before we go, a few announcements, a few thank yous that we want to put out here to our special guest and participants who have made this a very special experience. Round of applause for each person here. The chairwoman, Amber McReynolds from the USPS Board of Governors. Thank you to the Postal Service for choosing to honor Betty White with this forever stamp. Postal Service, let's go. Denise Verrett and the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens, thank you for hosting today's event, making us feel so welcome. Round of applause for Richard Lichtenstein, Dale Stefanos, the incredible Ellis Hall, and of course our color guard from the San Fernando area. I want to thank all of you in the audience for coming here today on a very, very special day. Thank you for making this an exciting and special experience. Now, a little announcement for you in a few minutes. Participants up here will be available to autograph your programs and other keepsakes you might have. Remember, too, you can buy your stamps, other items at the Postal Service retail booth we have going on, so be look for that. And then join us. Remember that hashtag Betty White stamp. That's the one to put on all your social media as you TikTok and Twitter and X and all the other ones you use. You can dance, too, if you want. Listen, I really thank you very much for letting me be your MC for today's event. It's been truly special to be part of this thing with Betty White. One more round of applause. Betty White, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a great day.